to say something. The clicks have clicked.
Gotcha.
So, welcome back. You know who it is.
Erica,
And Nancy.
but the other way around.
But the other way around. That was just in case you weren't sure. So, yeah. What are we talking about today, Nancy?
Talking about influencers, because I think I kind of started thinking about them when MyCan, like your job, kind of had climate influencers, and I was like, okay, that's cool that there's like a positive thing on it.
Love that.
I usually don't have the most positive feelings about influencers, but
so I actually pre-save, I learned this the hard way. Pre-save your files. They're easier to find when you're doing work. But I named this one Influencers in the Wild. I don't know if that's what the episode will be called, but
we'll see.
The reason why is because, sometimes like you'll be, you'll see a video, you'll see somebody with like a tripod up and you're like at the beach or in the middle of public and it's like influencers in the wild,
Yeah.
So it's, but it's not necessarily about like observing people. I think people have the right to do what they want. We're in public, you're subjected to whatever people want, but more than anything, I think like in the wild, it's like wild behavior, I kind of think of like things that feel almost animalistic in the sense that like maybe an animal wouldn't do this, but like it feels out of place for humans and how we should behave.
As far as like the ration behavior.
Yes, totally. So it feels like wild, to behave certain ways. So that's why
and
that's
I
kind
think
of.
I said things like that too when watching some like kind of out of pocket stuff. I'm like, wow, people are wild.
Yeah, people are just out here doing it. So something we want to talk about is maybe some of the trends that we don't really appreciate, but then also some that we do. Yeah. Because we don't just want this to be like, hey, don't you hate when people do this when you're scrolling through Instagram or the forbidden TikTok?
Forbidden.
The forbidden. I don't know. I try not to use it. Yeah. I like if someone sends me a TikTok, I'll open it or whatever. But otherwise, I'm like,
I don't have
it's a time drain. It's just.
I've heard so many people call it a time drain that I'm just like, I think I'm okay without it on my phone.
Yeah. I mean, irony of the name, right? TikTok.
This is
all your time.
There goes your whole day.
There goes your whole day. So, yeah, I guess.
For, let's say, some of the people in the golden years that may not be so clear on what influencers are.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, I mean, how would you see, like, what would your description of that be?
I think I would describe them as kind of like the popular kid in school, except now they're on the internet and they're trying to sell you stuff. So they're kind of like little freelance marketers.
I mean, that's pretty much it. I think like walking ads.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Most of them are. But they're also people that we find interesting enough to give our time, energy, following to.
Yeah. Or whom we find relatable enough that we follow, and then that's build some kind of weird little like internet trust for us to believe their opinion and recommendation. It's a really effective way of marketing.
It is super effective, and I also think it's an effective way to realize that like people are much more similar to us than we sometimes feel. When you see someone. What was that?
I said, or different.
Well, yeah, no, but I'm saying like when you follow someone, you're following them because they have a similar interest to you.
Yeah,
or like that community, like you resonate with that community.
Or your aspirational self. Like sometimes like I follow a lot of like interior design people, like some like fitness people, some homesteading people,
of
like
course.
Things that I like aspire to be at some point in my life.
Of course. And I think that's the nice thing, right? That's the nice thing about Instagram. It's the nice thing about being able to connect through social media in general. Like I think that's one of the large benefits that we've gained from just like the internet in general.
Yeah.
Like you remember, maybe you don't. Do you remember AOL chat rooms?
Oh, yeah.
And like, okay, yeah. I wasn't sure how much exposure you maybe had.
Oh, my friend's house did.
There you go. Yeah.
That's where it was popping.
Nancy was wildin'. Don't listen to this. Sorry, mom and dad.
I mean, we had AOL for like a short minute.
No, but just like that was the very beginning, right? We always wanted to like connect with people who we weren't like down the street from. And I think that need and that want is still very relevant. And I think it's beautiful. But we tend to then become quite literally influenced by those things, right? And so to, I guess, get into it, like things I see as dangerous to society when we're talking about a person who has like millions of followers or even thousands of followers is like food waste, right?
Yeah. Overconsumption.
So there's, and we see them all the time, right? You'll literally come across a random video and it'll just be like somebody crushing a bunch of food or people swimming in ramen noodles, somebody overpouring milk out of a cup, or, you know, just these large, huge, like, just, you know, even like I think of like the experimental
it's absurd.
foods.
Like absurd amounts of food. Yeah.
Well, and I think of like experimental foods too, where it's like, oh, let's try this and this together, and it's like, oh, that was disgusting, and it's like, okay, so you went out and bought a bunch of things that probably weren't going to be good together, and you knew that, and then you just like filmed yourself doing that for content. Like after somebody takes one bite of it, like what are they doing with all of those things after?
Yeah. Or have you seen people that they're like making a drink, but they'll pour out like a gallon and it'll overflow from like their cup onto like the table or something.
Yeah, just all of that. Like you would never do that. You would never do that if you're just making something and there wasn't a camera in front, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't think that's comical at all.
Yeah, and I feel like it's like almost like insane behavior in a way.
It is.
To me, it like makes me just really uncomfortable.
But they're doing that to grab attention, right? I mean,
yeah, it's like that shock factor.
Or even like mukbangs, you know, where like it's like people will get large amounts of food and eat it on camera.
Oh wow!
It's just like a thing that people like to see for content, right? And I just think when we talk about waste and we talk about like how many people go without food, when we talk about the United States, 40% of our food is wasted from individual households as well as the grocery store, all of the, you know, apples that go bad that nobody takes. And it's like, what could we be doing better than, I mean, I think this was it for me when I saw a video of this kid who decided he was going to bread his parents' kitchen. So he went out and he got like 10 plus loaves of bread.
No.
And stuck every single piece he could to his parents' cabinets.
Are you serious?
Which, like, of course, in theory sounds funny, but in reality, it's like, how much food are you wasting? How many people could you have fed with that?
Yeah. That makes me cringe so hard. Also,
and we can move on from this one in particular, but like, I think about the people who are making that food. The people who farmed for the
carbon
food.
footprint the food already went to.
The people who transported it and packaged it and sold it and had to put it out on shelves. Like, it goes so much further than you wasting $20 to $100 worth of food.
Yeah.
Right? It is. There's people who are out there.
Environmental costs, labor costs.
All of it. So somebody I like to highlight, I know you have one too, is Surthy Cooks.
You showed me her videos. She is impressive.
Okay, not only is she feeding people, she will feed like dozens of people at once. And I'm like, in these giant like cauldron type dishes.
Yeah.
And you're just like, wow, dude, you're really out here. I don't know how you can feed like on that scale. But it's Surthy Cooks on Instagram, SURTHY Cooks, COOKS. And so something I like about her videos is she'll show like the pre-videos, right? She'll show someone like pouring a bunch of cereal into like the back of a Tesla because you know the trunk is all lined and stuff. And then she'll cut to that and she's like, let's make people parfaits, and she'll like make just dozens of them and then go into like a random village or town and hand them out to people.
Wow.
That's a true influencer.
Yeah.
And she's nothing short of fame by doing this. She has 12.4 million followers.
Dang.
I'm saying.
That's a lot.
That's so many. And people love watching her content. She's obviously a very wealthy woman.
Yeah.
Don't know where the wealth comes from. And I'm not saying
disclaimer, we don't fully endorse her as a person, but we prefer food influencing that feeds people rather than food influencing that hurts people and planet.
That's it.
And waste resources.
Mic drop. If you are going to film food on Instagram, have it be delicious dishes you're making, because I do love food and like I love food reels.
Insta is beautiful. Look, sometimes I'm like, you know, some of those days where you're just kind of blah, but then you don't really have like an appetite. But then you'll see some like bomb looking dish that you're like, oh, they made that in like 10 minutes.
I'm literally picturing dishes right now that I've seen online. Like I'm not dogging on this at all, but like food waste for influencers, that needs to just stop.
Yeah.
There are people who are starving. There are people who break their backs to get us the meals that we have every single day.
Yeah.
We got to show a little bit more respect. Right? And I know you have another person. So this is...
I do love the Zero Waste Chef. Okay. And her handle is just Zero Waste Chef. But she's like the name implies, very much into zero waste. So she'll do things like teach you how to like slice an apple in a way that you waste a little of it as possible. Or like saving up like apple scraps to make apple cider vinegar, like how to make like sourdough bread and stuff like that. Like all these different solutions for like avoiding plastic and everything in your life. Like she makes her own pasta. Like, I don't know, she just basically like does it all. But another one that I was thinking of while we were talking about food waste specifically is I think somebody called like the Scrappy Cooker. Okay. And I actually found her on Pinterest. I'm not sure what her Instagram is, but I'm willing to bet.
I'm going to go follow Zero Waste Chef.
It is a Scrappy Cooker. But this like scraps cook person will show you how to take things that we would normally toss and make like a pesto out of it, or maybe like throw it into your like stir fry, or like save it to make a broth with. Like she just like has all these different ways of reusing things that we normally chuck out. So that's one that I thought was really cool too.
I love that you said that, because I've seen people make pesto out of things that you wouldn't think that you would make pesto out of. Just makes you realize, or like the other day I saw somebody, they used the leaves of like the squash or something. Yeah, and they like wrapped something in it, and they're like, there's a lot of nutrients in it, and they named them off, and I'm just like, duh. Of course, one, we don't even see the leaves of a squash when we buy it from the store. Yeah. But also, like, just utilizing every bit, right? It feels good to get your hands into it. Yeah. Yeah. Very like, cool.
I mean, I feel like apples are probably some of the most versatile, because of like you can make apple cider vinegar, you can make apple jam, apple butter.
Keep going.
I was that.
Oh, applesauce.
Applesauce apple is a good pie. One. Apple pie.
I mean, apple fritter.
Oh, well, I see. Yeah, you got some good ones.
You could do apple
juice, apple cider. I mean, I have a juicer. I don't know if everybody does.
Oh my goodness, I love apples. And apples in Michigan, we can grow them, right? Yeah. So you could go to an apple orchard or your local farmer's market, and then use every bit of it. I mean, even just I was thinking about all of the like bottled things I buy, even if it's glass bottles. I'm like, if I can make apple cider vinegar, why go out and buy it? You know, like those are just little things. Like maybe we can shift. And I love that someone is like willing to help you get there. Yeah. So follow them.
I love a tutorial. Yeah. So Zero Waste Chef. So it's ZeroWastechef.
That was off the top. We're educated. We
can spell, I swear.
We know what we're talking about.
Yes, but I would say she's probably one of the ones that like most deeply impacted my like environmentalist journey.
Dude, I'm so sentimental. I would message her. I just want you to know
you've done so much.
You've done so much for my journey, and I'd like send her a dozen pictures.
Yeah, of like my kitchen, be like, look, glass jars, like literally like the jar hoarding, like so many things started when
that mine would turn into you did this to me. So yeah, what is another trend that you would like to see end, or that you want to highlight?
I guess another one that I want to highlight is like homesteading shizzle.
Oh, girl.
Homesteading
cottage core.
I think you said like corn core.
Yeah, there's probably corn core. There's everything core.
There's everything core. But I do love a good homesteading thing, because I feel like those are like they are influencing, right? They're like, don't you want to live on this acreage farm with like a cow and sheep and growing wildflowers and all that crap?
Can I just like steal a corner of your land? Just a little corner. No, I have to agree. I love those. I love the ones where people are like, oh, I moved out to the, woods and this is how my life is going, or like building your house from scratch. I watched, or I don't watch, but when I was on my like camper kick, I followed a lot of people who were doing the same type of thing.
Nice.
And so then they typically transition into like buying land and trying to do something like that, like restoring a house or building one themselves. And
that kind of shizzle I would love.
Oh, that kind of shizzle.
It's worth recognizing that it does take an immense amount of privilege to be able to just like uproot from wherever you are in life. Hop on, like invest into like a vehicle or some kind of mobile housing situation, and then from there, like if you want to get into homesteading, like buy land.
It's wild.
And also like buy animals, buy feed, buy seeds, like everything, equipment, tools, etc.
Totally. And it's not nearly as attainable. So that's one thing we could say is like, I enjoy the influencers who within those things talk about the realities, right? Yeah. They might talk about like, it's not as glamorous as it looks, or like I did start with this, like there has to be some form of transparency there. Some of my favorite influencers are much more like real with people. Yeah.
I have a mix of both. I mean, for example, there's one that's like Anne of all trades, and she's like a woodworker primarily, but then she also does a lot of like kind of homesteading and stuff.
Okay.
Like she knows like blacksmithing and things like that. So she's very much got that big set of like farm skills. And she is in certain ways living like the dream life, but she is also she posts about like her mental health issues from having so much pressure to do all these things. Cause like if you're living in a farm, she's like, I have to wake up like at 4 a.m. to like milk my goats, milk my donkey or whatever, like feed the chickens, feed the cows. And she just goes into like how much work it really takes to keep up with all that. And I think at some point she even posted about like downsizing, because she was like,
it's too much for her.
It's a lot.
Yeah. I just got an automatic feeder for my cats.
That's how you do it.
Game changer.
One for the horses.
One for the horses, one for the chickens.
The goats, the rabbits.
You just make your rounds. I would be there like noon. I'd be like, everyone got fed, right?
Well, good. Yeah, but I just really like her transparency.
Yeah, we need that.
And she was also kind of just being open to being like, hey, like I realize that I'm coming from a place of like having these resources.
Yeah.
And it's like a married couple, that double income, no kids, that dink income.
Ooh, lordy.
So, like she's very like cognizant of a lot of these things. And I think I really like that honesty aspect of it.
I think it's just another bit of like you being able to choose that you're going to follow someone because there's a backing behind it, right? Like not only do I like your content, I also like the reason why you make it. Something we have a larger choice on than I think we realize is our algorithm.
Yeah.
So like one of my favorite comments to see is, I built this algorithm brick by brick. Because sometimes when I see something really weird on my story or my feed, I'm like, wow, okay, I may have put this here, like subconsciously. But
possum memes for me.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I love a possum meme.
Nancy never turns down a possum. Let me just say right now, that's her thing. Someone's got to do it. It's not me. I will not be coming across possums. I hope to God they do not show up on my.
Oh, it's funny. I get so hyped when I see them anywhere near my house. I'm like, a possum. I'm blessed.
You're just waiting for one to walk in your back door so you can be like, see, I have to.
It's meant to be. Yeah. Leave the window open.
But no, we did. We build our own algorithms, right? So we also have to remember that, like, the longer you stay on a video, the more you share it, the more you comment under it. If you like it, that's the thing that's going to show up. I mean, I can see it if I'm on Instagram for more than, like, maybe 15 minutes at a time, and I like 3 workout videos, that's all I'm going to start seeing.
Yeah.
I almost avoid looking at things for too long sometimes because I'm like, this is going to fuck up my whole thing. Yeah, and I'm just going to get stuck in a loop. So, any others you want to highlight? Or
there's one called Plastic Free July.
Okay.
And that one was also one that I followed shortly after like Zero Waste Chef, where they give you like a lot of tips for being like, hey, instead of using plastic, like do this, or like instead of buying this, make this. So I think just having that, like, it's like a more like DIY approach. And a lot of it, if I remember correctly, kind of focuses on like things that you would normally buy, like making your own, like, I don't know, like toner for your face or something like that.
Okay, nice. I want to learn how to make alcohol.
I've heard that that's
like rubbing
fun.
alcohol.
Yeah, you have to like just really, really ferment the shizzle out of some stuff. But let me see. I'm gonna look up the kind of plastic free July. Oh, I kind of want to ask you what are like the top 3 themes of your algorithm too, just out of curiosity.
Okay, let me see.
But let me see. So like some of the things it has are like making household cleaners.
Oh. Sorry.
You can cut that off. It's cool. Choosing like plastic free packaging, like skipping the straw, like bringing your own little like produce bags. And then kind of the difference between, they're also really good about being like, hey, you don't have to like buy a cutlery kit for you to be like plastic free. Like literally just like wrap up your fork, spoon, knife, and a napkin.
Yeah, absolutely.
And be good to go. So just kind of like a lot of like, not just like zero waste, but also like no shopping kind of zero waste tips.
Yes.
That really make you think more about like reusing what you already have or like repurposing something you already have. So I really love that account a lot too. There's so many.
And I think repurposing is so important. I think, well, one, avoiding the purchase is the most important.
Yeah.
And then repurposing, reusing, giving away, donating, all of those things well before you choose anything else. So my algorithm, and then we'll move to the next, is mainly like crafting stuff.
Oh, really? That's cute. Yeah. I love crafting stuff. Okay, go on.
Lots of comedy. And in crafting stuff, more like crafting clothing. Or just things that people like specialize in. Food.
Definitely get a lot of food too.
Rave stuff. And then gym stuff.
That's a good little solid combo.
Yeah, I want to grow this ass. I want a juicy, bubbly butt.
Don't we all?
I'm saying, you know what? They're either freaking born with it, or they move so much more than you're willing to move. Physically, they are not on the couch.
Yeah.
They dance or play soccer.
You're like, gosh, damn.
I'm like, I would pass out if I played soccer.
Honestly, I don't know how long I would last on like a sunny field. You know?
I'm more of like a amateur cheerleader. Like one that's like, woo, on the sidelines. Like
I'm like
jumping.
Reading a book in the bleachers.
There you go.
Nerd. Yeah, I don't even look at it.
Under the bleachers.
Let me see. My algorithm has, you'll love this. It's like a New York Times like screenshot thing. And it's like, for edible bug fans, cicadas are the noisy lobsters of the trees.
Okay. The noisy lobsters. They are. Oh, I hugged a tree once and a cicada was there. Oh, that's good. It was kind of gross.
But then it shows like chefs, foodies, and then like everybody's just like, yum. And because I told you that I've eaten bugs before, right?
Okay. That's not on my algae. What I will say is Green Rapids.
I did have crafty
Green Rapids. Oh my God, I said it. Green Rapids.
Green Rapids.
Green Rapids podcast. We have an Instagram. And that's where all of my nature stuff is. Oh, I was going to ask. Yeah, all of my nature stuff. All of my climate stuff. I try to separate them just because I can. Yeah. And sometimes it gets overwhelming to think about climate all the time. Politics is on my personal one. And you know why. It's Marco.
Yes.
He sends me so much on Twitter. I feel like Twitter is talking to Instagram and sending me politics.
Oh, that stinks. I can see that happening, though.
It's okay. It's nice to be informed.
Yeah, that's true.
So a trend I dislike, so I guess Nancy's doing all the positive stuff today, is the large amounts of clothing and makeup hauls.
The shopping hauls.
They
stress me out.
I want to fucking punch a shopping hauler in the throat. Sorry for the cursing. That was a real cursing. No, I mean, both, right? So, like, I do feel like at some point when you, okay, I've seen these shopping haul videos where people like open this big old plastic package and every bag is Shein and they just like dump it out and there's like 10 of them that fall.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm like, that doesn't feel like overconsumption at all. Like you didn't think that at all.
Yeah.
And I know that it's popular, it's a thing to do, it's a trend, but then like trying every single thing on and either saying like, oh no, this is good or this is great. Like, okay, so for the things that you don't like, what are you doing with them?
Yeah.
And for the things you do like, how long do they last? From somewhere like Shein, right? From somewhere like Temu or Temu or whatever it is. I fucking hate the products that I see. You know?
They're all just so like gimmicky. And then I guess that's one of the things that I kind of wanted to mention too is like the influence. Like these influencers are creating this weird kind of like backwards version of what it means to be like well off. Like they're like being well off means being wasteful.
Yes.
And like that's like the cool thing to do. And I feel like brands like even Temu's like shop like a billionaire like or millionaire tagline, it's selling this lifestyle of overconsumption instead of, and like not to say that like wealthy people in the old days were like angels or anything, but I feel like there was more of a culture on like a focus on quality.
Girl,
like you
quality.
knew a wealthy person because their stuff was quality. So yes, they were consuming, but a lot of times these goods were just better. But now we're seeing this overconsumption, even of cheap things.
Of course. And of course you have to overconsume them because they're not going to last as long. And then the other bit I always go back to, what about all of the people who farmed for the cloth? What about, or created it, polyester, which is plastic.
Like all the petroleum.
You know, what about all of the people who then had to sew it up, package those up, ship it out, send it to your house, put it, you know, in a warehouse? Like, well, what about all of these people? And how much do you think they get paid for your shirt that was $3?
Yeah. Cents on the dollar.
You know, it's when you really break it down and have like a cognitive, we can't just live blindly and then say, well, I didn't know that that's how it was.
Yeah.
We have known about what we would call like sweatshops since we were kids.
Yeah.
So growing up and shopping at a place where you get like a $4 t-shirt, like, and then there are people who need that, right? There are people who need to clothe themselves and, you know, whatever, but it just further perpetuates that it's an acceptable behavior to constantly be filtering through these things that have no value.
Yeah.
Especially when you have 1 million followers, especially when you appear to be very wealthy.
Yeah. And even then, I mean, not to get too deep into it, but then how much of that is like a facade, right? Like I've heard of a lot of influencers that just like rent B&Bs for like,
right,
you know,
to show, or the fake jet pictures, you know? I mean, and this is something I really want to highlight too, is China has a ban on that type of behavior. Essentially, they kicked they call them, I think, the Kim Kardashian of China.
Yeah.
And essentially this person, I believe male, flaunts their very luxurious lifestyle.
Yeah.
China sees that as a detriment to their society and kicked him off of all their platforms because he is trying to influence people in a way that is very negative to their goals, right? And their goal is to not have somebody be, and they're not saying you can't be wealthy. They're just saying you showcasing that this is like desirable and what we should all be trying to attain is like never going to work.
Yeah. Like, you want to know, like, my idea of like ideal wealthiness would be for myself? It would literally just be like having the luxury of time. Like the time to like have a beautiful garden, like an impeccably like maintained house, like, you know, like, but like not necessarily just like being like, all right, like I'm gonna go wild and like buy everything now, you know.
That's what they call it, material wealth, right? Because wealth can be in knowledge.
I love a good outfit.
Girl,
you know,
I do too.
And like there are brands that I like, right? Like even if they're questionable, like but like Lurking Class vibes. This is not a paid ad.
Yeah, right. I am not an influencer.
Class, you can call.
Yeah, right. If you want to send something over, no, but I think one thing we could do is downvote those things, right? Mm-hmm. Tell our platforms that we don't want to see that type of content. Mm-hmm. Also, manufacturers, get with it.
Yeah. They use it to their advantage.
Dude, it's so upsetting. I even saw like there's this like worst offenders list, right? Like this like there's a organization or it's a site, and they essentially vet the processes that companies use from like the materials you use, how fairly your workers are treated, like transportation, like what just emissions. We should look it up because I should have this off top. But either way, the site pointed out that freaking Fenty is on that list. I mean, along with H&M will always be on that list. But like Fenty, Rihanna, do better. I want to like you. I want to be friends with you. But like, how are you not being more sustainable, right?
Yeah.
She is wealthy enough that investing in that and just saying, yeah, you're going to pay $30 for this, lip gloss. You'll pay $35 because it's sustainable. You'll pay $35 because we want to make sure that people got paid fairly for this.
Right.
And they have the ability to do it. Kylie fucking Jenner has the ability as a now billionaire, apparently self-made Nepo baby. Why aren't your products more sustainable?
Yeah, I think what baffles me the most is when it is like somebody that you're like, you can clearly afford to make this more better.
Yes.
But especially because like even let's say just talking about businesses in general, but like a lot of times smaller businesses usually can't afford like the more eco-friendly expense because there's always like a green tax on that. But like people that are just like literally oozing dollars out of their pores, I'm like, dude,
yeah,
you could do better. You can afford to do better. That part is a little.
An artist I would like to highlight, because I think people to that point, I know Kylie Jenner is not a artist, but she's an influencer. She's got fame for some reason or another. And people want to see what she has going on. Mm-hmm. Rihanna, all the same, an artist, could be using her influence much differently. Mm-hmm. Coldplay.
Really?
Yeah, okay. So on the topic of these types of things, how we talk about like Taylor Swift and all of her jet miles, things she could advocate, things she could advocate opposite for. Uh-huh. Coldplay is making sure that they offset their emissions as best as they can. They are minimizing their air travel.
Wow.
So they're taking buses as often as they can, trains, things like that. They are incentivizing their concert goers to do the same. Okay. So they have them download like an app. And if you use this app and say like, yes, I took the bus, or buy your tickets through that, they will give you points. And those points are like a reward system.
What?
At their concert, when you go in, I don't know if it's like you receive the wristband before or right when you enter, but everybody gets LED wristbands that are sent back and sanitized and reused.
That's cool.
And, girl, this gets cooler. They have bikes around some of their stage areas so that people can pedal and help power the stadium.
What? You're kidding.
They have kinetic flooring installed in some of their concerts.
What does that even mean?
Kinetic flooring is when you step on it, that pressure generates energy.
What?
And that energy is stored.
You're blowing my mind right now.
Girl, it blew my mind.
Okay, Coldplay.
Coldplay. One of the largest bands in the world.
Yeah.
Most people know who Coldplay is.
They're doing it right.
And they're very relevant. And, what they're doing is they're saying we have influence. We have plenty of capabilities. If we're going to put on this large production, why not also say, by the way, we need to be better. We need to do better. And so we are going to take this along with us. How many people leave with different behaviors because of that? Different mindset. That's what it is to influence somebody.
Wow.
Positive influence. I know. I'm gonna play Yellow when I leave. Maybe a happier song. Well, it's not sad.
Princess of China is a good one too.
It's just like
it's a vibe one.
Anyway,
but the website where you can check how sustainable a brand or company is directory.goodonyou.eco. So, for example, I searched up the brand Cider, which I will admit I have shopped from them before because they had a sustainability page, and I didn't bother looking into it. I was like, oh, look, they care about the planet.
They have a page.
I could afford their stuff. Let me buy it. But I checked here, and they got a low score, and then they said, we avoid it. Mostly because they say that even though they claim to use lower impact materials and like they're technically still a fast fashion model, like as far as like the production and consumption of resources, and they don't really have a lot of like biodiversity in the supply chain. So I don't know. They just put a lot of like strains on the planet. And they haven't provided any like actual hard evidence about what makes them sustainable. So they're just like making that claim without necessarily doing the work.
We're going to see that, right? Everywhere, all over the place, you're going to see this company pledges to be this, this, and this. And there's nothing wrong with the incremental changes that they're making, although they should have been doing this sooner. And this does not mean that you can't go out and purchase something that you want or that what you're doing is like the worst behavior, right?
I mean, look, we've all been there.
Well, there's no malice, right? Most people are not being malicious with the exception of like food waste influencers, right? The influencers who just take in products and don't do anything with them or that like the makeup waste, like all of that, like that is excess at a level that should never be acceptable.
Yeah.
But the thing that we can do in order to do that or in order to get away from that is to choose to just be okay with the things we have.
Yeah.
You know, one, it's a whole lot cheaper.
So much cheaper.
But also, like, we can look inward for our experiences. There is beauty outside of our phones. There's beauty outside, literally just outside of our windows.
Yeah, we get so caught up living or, like, again, like, so many of the videos, like, for example, that I watch tend to be very aspirational. And I feel like sometimes I do catch myself spending more time watching those videos than doing the things that I could be doing to have the life that I want, you know?
Totally. Or sometimes I think about, like, some of the experiences that I want to be able to like go have and the things I want to do. But the reality is like we want that homestead, right? We kind of want something to be a little bit more simple.
We want the possum in the backyard.
Yeah. I want neighbors to trade strawberries with because I'm working on bread recipes and I can't stop cranking out bread, you know, like I really want.
Have I shown you my bread machine?
Girl, no.
I have a bread machine.
She has a bread machine. Are we even friends? Bread is my like love language.
Oh, it's amazing, dude.
It is. Oh my God. Top of the list for sure.
One.
So yeah, I think, you know, Earthly Refillery, right?
Shout out
to Earthly Refillery. Shout out to Public Thread. Shout out to, you know, all of thrift stores, you know, freaking all of that. I do love a
thriftfluencer.
I love the older women who freaking make quilts out of anything, you know, just scrap material. Art teachers who take in
the recycled art,
literally anything. Like this world has quite literally everything we need on it in this moment.
Yeah.
We have enough plastic to melt down to create all the fuel we need. We have enough clothing to give every single person brand new clothes forever. We have enough dressers and cars and, you know, all of it. Enough jewelry to melt down to make stuff that you want.
Yeah. We got shizzle for days.
We have shizzle for days. Maybe we can influence, you know, ourselves and then down the pipeline corporations.
Yeah.
And this is not our fault that we grew up in a consumerist society.
Yeah. And also even just like, I feel like especially growing up lower income, like growing up with this idea that like, oh, like now that I can afford something, I have to buy it. And it's like, no, like, just because you can doesn't mean like save you money, you know?
Living paycheck to paycheck for so many years I lived paycheck to paycheck that after I started making more money, I couldn't get out of that mindset for a while.
Yeah.
And it was because I was so used to fulfilling my needs with every dollar I had. Mm-hmm. You don't really lose that, right? Yeah. There's never going to be a house big enough once you fill it up.
That's another thing too. I think it's like another like kind of scary like effective influencers too. Like, and I get this like with housing. Like for example, like I am a homeowner, luckily, fortunately, especially right now with how wrecked the housing market is. I know what a privilege that is. Mm-hmm. But you know, influencers be influencers. Nice, I'll see someone's house and I'm like, wow, they have that size backyard. Like, you know, like and then like, you know, you start to get that like keeping up with the Joneses vibe. But you know, at the end of the day, like my house is my house. That's what I should pour into and make it my little spot. And like, but like influencers sometimes make me want like something bigger, but bigger's not always better.
If you do an unboxing, mm-hmm. I will come knock on your door and be like, girl, we talked about this. Until then, I'm assuming most people who are listening to this mm-hmm. are not doing those types of things, right?
No.
And so don't go home and feel like you have to be, you know, this person. Just remember you can follow other people, and the less power we give,
lifestyle where like you own like 3 things.
Yeah, right. Like, but it's like, just let's limit the amount of power we give to people who do very wasteful things. Mm-hmm. 2 people,
give them your attention. That's their currency.
There's 2 people I really want to highlight, and then we can move on. I feel like we've said all we can really about this.
We roasted.
Yeah, no, but it feels good to get out. I think we all, in one way or another, have a slight disdain for mm-hmm. influencers in the wild. Mm-hmm. So this person is Josh mm-hmm. Lil J. And it's
Josh do?
He goes to businesses in the area usually. Mm-hmm. He'll usually go to a restaurant or mm-hmm. somebody selling something on the side of the road mm-hmm. and purchase almost everything they have.
Wow.
And then he'll turn around and go give it away to people. So I love that. I don't know where he gets his, you know, capabilities, you know, what he can do, but either way, like just seeing him go to small businesses, people selling fruit cups on the side of the street, mm-hmm. you know, I mean, this right here, there's a guy who's selling deodorant and Tide and just little things like that. Like maybe that's not legal, whatever. Mm-hmm. Dude is trying to like take care of himself. Mm-hmm. And so he's going to go over there and just buy a bunch of stuff, create these bags and go hand it out to people who are in need.
Yeah.
One last person is Green Girl Leah. And just a woman of color. Mm-hmm. She is like under 30 years old, and she just talks about lifestyle. She talks about different things we can do. She mm-hmm. keeps people updated. She keeps people connected to individuals doing real work. Mm-hmm. And just a great way to stay an influencer, like with, I guess, with humanity in mind, right? I want to note she has 266,000 followers. Josh Lil J has 3.7 million followers.
So they're making an impact.
They're making impact, and they're also, it's not stopping them from gaining the type of popularity that they would maybe want to gain.
That's true. Okay, I guess I'll show you one last favorite one of mine. This one is Sibster, Sibster. And she does these little, like, kind of like upcycling things of, like, things that you maybe wouldn't even really think to do. So I'm just going to pick a random one. But she has this, like, clear box, like the kind that, like, those pop figurines come in, like, little protective ones. And then it's, like, the plastic protective case that a lot of people would just, like, chuck.
This is beautiful.
But she makes this beautiful little kind of, she decoupages dried flattened flowers on it and then puts like a little copper tape on the edges, and then it turns into this really beautiful little like kind of lamp that she makes.
Wow.
She'll do a lot of things with like, you know, just like that plastic that like your muffins or like just like those little like clamshell type containers come in.
Yeah.
She does a lot of great stuff with like reusing those little
this is
just
fantastic.
Like that plastic and then making like cute little things for her house. Like she does a lot of things with like cardboard and like she does use like a lot of like pressed flowers.
Yeah. I feel like this is great for people who have kids.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, shoot, not gonna lie though, like the fact that it's so like fairy core, like I'm into this shit. So.
Well, no, but I mean, of course, right? But I'm thinking like, if you have like a kid and you're like, hey, let's go outside, let's go get some flowers, and then we're gonna show you how to, upcycle things. I just think it's so cool. And I think what she's doing is like, sometimes I feel really bad if I get like muffins because it's in a plastic thing.
Yeah.
Like, don't feel bad. Just make art out of it. Just make it beautiful. Like, give it another life. Do not throw it away.
Yeah, she paints a lot of like that kind of clear plastic stuff to make it look almost like stained glass, and like that looks really pretty too. Like, yeah, she just does so many beautiful things, and I'm like, you know what?
I love
like
this.
A whole life.
And our episode just before people hear this one is going to be with Caitlin from the Department of Public Works, and she's going to be talking trash.
Oh, yeah, so there's going to be a lot of waste diversion ideas there.
Waste diversion ideas, but then also, all else fails, make a craft. Get crafty. Use it for, like, you need a paintbrush, cup to, you need to clean it off. Use that.
Yeah, like use like some kind of like container, like... my house, I needed like a little caddy to hold like my little like art painting supplies, but instead of going out and like buying one, like I made one out of just like some boxes and cardboard I had lying around with like paper mache, I
made my little greenhouse out of picture frames.
You told me that. That's really cool.
We can do anything.
Yeah.
And even if it doesn't work, you tried.
You're de-influencing yourself. Also, remember, not everything has to look perfect.
Not everything is aesthetic.
Perfect. Yeah. Some things are just life. And
you know what my aesthetic is? Thrifted. All of it. My apartment. All of it. And it feels good. Still feels homey.
And it has like a personality. It has like a character.
It functions.
Yeah.
Some of my thrifted stuff are like...
Yeah, your furniture is beautiful. Like your dishes are beautiful.
Do you know things like side of the road? Not even just thrifted, like threw in a car.
Yeah.
And it raining out, all of it.
Oh, I have like a side table and like a little dresser I recently picked up off the side of the road too, that I'm like, I'm about to dress you up.
Go on Facebook Marketplace and look up Curb Alert.
Yeah. Anyway, save some money, save the planet.
Yeah.
De-influence your life.
Save your algorithm. Get off your phone even. But if you're on there.
Yeah. Be good.
Just be mindful about content, right?
Don't be naughty.
Yeah. Be good. We're watching you.
Just kidding.
All right.
See you guys next time. Peace. Stay off of Instagram and TikTok. I'm just kidding.
That's your call to action. Get off your phone.
Wait, we have a real call to action though.
What is it?
We are looking for people for next season.
Oh yeah. We are looking for experts.
If you are local or near Grand Rapids or at least West Michigan, or if you just happen to be from nearby but you find yourself in Grand Rapids, feel free to hit us up. We would like some experts on things that we are not experts on, such as, like, for example, if you are into like electrifying, looking at you, Will Gallmeyer, or kind of like any, like, for example, like we know about solar, right? But like I don't know, like all the ins and outs of like the science or the just all that kind of stuff. So if you're into that stuff, we'd like to talk to you. If you're a park ranger, a person of color, or an urban arborist, if you're into food justice or like urban agriculture, if you're into environmental justice history or like environmental policy or into foraging or anything like that, we'd like to chat with you. Yeah. So hit us up if you know stuff.
Get at me.
And me.
Get at us.
And with that,